Hi, my name's Andrea, and this is Coaching Reuncovery. Now, Reuncovery is something that I created. It looks a little bit like this. It's a blueprint and a system and a framework in order to iteratively learn from extraordinary state experiences that are part of neurodiversity. And my experience has been iteratively to have these cycles of energy where I don't have much energy and then I have a lot, and then that comes to a peak and then eventually drops off again. And there's advantages to this and there's disadvantages. So the advantages, some of them off the top of my head, are that I can get into very creative spaces. I can have perceptions and insights that I wouldn't have if I only had a regular fluctuation of energy that most people, like the majority on a bell curve, have. And having the regular daily cycles of if I have good sleep, if I eat decent food, I have good energy for the day, and I can go to work 9 to 5 and then come home and do this and do that. All these things that within that daily cycle eventually accumulate to having a relatively successful life according to the measures of society. So the way my energy operates makes that a bit challenging, to the point where if I'm successful with my rhythm of energy, which can go on for cycles of months, where I'll have no energy and a small capacity to think and do things like this for long periods of time. It could be weeks or months. Now, that makes it hard to really get momentum in the sense of what the measures of society are. And that's fair enough. So what I'm saying is, even if I'm successful through my energetic measures, still according to society, I don't quite measure up. And now I'm wondering if that could change, because there aren't really avenues for this energy to be channeled in order to have measures of success to the same extent. And I think that carving out pathways for that to be possible will make it more likely for other people. So that's what I'm wishing to do. And that's why I've created Reuncovery, which is a work in progress. It's a learning process, and it's lots of different things. So here, coaching Reuncovery, it's like I'm coaching myself to get to the next phase of Reuncovery, which I've outlined different stages that I have touched into myself, but I haven't fully embodied it. It's the difference between, say, reading a book on a certain topic and then mastering that topic as a skill. So I've sort of read the book on these things and I can see, hey, this is different topics that I need to learn more about and actually embody as a skill or as a trait in order to be that way. And there are also traits and skills that I can see that are natural progressions of doing some of the other stages of Reuncovery that I've explored. And I'm having a particular challenge with this one because I've talked a lot about stage A and stage B, and I've created a webinar about that. And stage C is more leaning into embodiment. So even though now I'm wanting to lean more into embodiment, a lot of it isn't embodied yet. So it's a stage about embodiment, but it's a stage of really building that embodiment. So still a lot of it is just kind of working on that embodiment as it, and then eventually feeling like that stage of embodiment is filled out, like it's embodied. So for example, if I wanted to embody being a teacher or a coach of some kind, I can't just like write out a coaching program. I would have to start teaching and coaching. And I maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will anyways, that I don't really like the idea of teaching. To me, it feels something about it, something like telling someone what to do. And I feel that there's something about that that doesn't resonate with me, because I think we each know best. So I feel like it's more about sharing and sharing my journey, as well as instead of doing self-dialogue like I used to, which was like sitting on a couch, just standing in front of this chalkboard and seeing if something else happens by virtue of having this space to share in and sometimes write things out. So something that I've realized lately too is with the first couple stages of re-uncovery, it's more about like, who am I? What are my traits? What are my projects? What are my skills and my superpowers? What are the synchronicity stories that I have experienced up until this point? And how do I gather that all to make what I called an ecstasis vitae, which is a play on words with um, the resume. I think it's curriculum vitae. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter exactly, but a way to compile that into like, this is a resume of some of the things I'm able to embody sometimes, and also some of the things I want to embody more often, or I want to move towards embodying. So like, for example, one could say like, I've tasted the superpower of being psychic for like 5 minutes in my life, or like a certain period of time, but that wouldn't make me a psychic if that were true. But if I'd tasted that, it's like saying, hey, do you want to explore this and learn more about this and work on embodying that? And that could take years. And the good thing about tasting these different skills and superpowers in heightened states of energy is that it gives us a chance to be like, hey, I actually want to not just read the book about that or taste that, I want to actually learn to do that, right? So it's just another way of like, say somebody takes you one day to go rollerblading and you're like, wow, this is so fun. And then you turn into a lifelong rollerblader. The universe and the energy of the universe could say, hey, do you want to be a psychic? Do you want to be a prophet? Do you want to be a this or that? And it could be something that just turns out to be like a fun side gig that turns into, for example, writing some short stories based on the information that comes through that skill, or like full on going into being that as one day a full-time role, which if one is really embodied in it, maybe you don't have to do it for that many hours in order to sustain yourself if you're that embodied. So it's more like giving more, it's like a call to adventure, right? Call to adventure. Are we going to accept the call? I wrote a little bit about that on Substack, as well as the hero's journey. And I do think there's some troubles with the hero's journey metaphor when it comes to people who go into a hero's journey, they accept the call, or they're sort of non-volitionally thrust into accepting the call of the universe. And then when they come back and they need to integrate and learn to share what they've gleaned, they're like given a label and suppressed and oppressed and pushed to the margins of society. So we never get those messages. And that keeps happening over and over for people. So part of it too is like, I'm not a big fan of the hero's journey metaphor per se, but maybe if I'm able to like complete my own hero's journey, in that I'm able to share some of that which I have gleaned from these states, then that might give more people the opportunity to say, hey, I can stand up in front of a chalkboard and start trying to figure out how to communicate some of these difficult memes by trying to communicate some of these difficult memes. And that's what I wish to do.